Before you continue watching, make sure you take a quick look at the vocabulary so that you don't get too lost when watching the video. Today we'll be looking at the grammar structure exo wa y des. The structure actually contains two bits of grammar that we'll be looking at separately so that you can understand it better. First we'll start from the end with the des. It roughly translates to something along the lines of it is in English. If you watch a lot of anime, you've probably heard it a lot, or if you're an otaku, you've probably used this word a lot. Desu desu, kawaii with all the sparkles, but you probably don't know what it means. So the way we use it is we put it at the end of a noun, and it's used to express simple phrases like it is 6 o'clock, rokuji desu, or a student, gakusei desu. Now let's try these quickly. Apple, Ringo, Ringo desu. Manga, manga desu. Now I want to go back just a bit to the first set of examples. You'll notice that in the brackets there are a lot of these it is, I ams and you ares, and it does look a bit confusing. But these are natural little things that we always use in English without really thinking about it. When someone asks you, what do, you don't just say student or teacher, you say I am a student or I am a teacher. It just makes more sense. There's always that little extra bit of context that helps us to understand what the sentence is about. And with the rokuji desu, again, as it stands without that little extra bit of context, it can mean a whole lot of different things. I could have been asked, what time is it now? Rokuji desu. But I could have also been asked, what time do you want to go for dinner? Rokuji desu. So without that little extra bit of context, we don't really have a completely painted picture. This is where we go back a bit more to the start and look at the original grammar structure. Exo wa y desu. Wa is known as the topic marker, which, surprise, marks the topic of a sentence. What this means is that as the speaker, you allow the listener to hear what you're going to be talking about in the sentence specifically, and you provide that extra context to clear up any ambiguity. Rokuji desu, 6 o'clock. Ima wa rokuji desu. Right now it is 6 o'clock. Gakusei desu. A student. Watashi wa gakusei desu. I am a student. Perfect. Now let's move on with this test. This is Steve and he's Australian. Steve is Australian. Steve-san wa Oosutoraria jin desu. Here we're given two pieces of information, Steve and Australian. Now we don't know how they're connected to each other because they're separate nouns. So Steve-san desu and Oosutoraria jin desu. So as they are, we don't know how they're connected, and this is where the wa comes in. If we replace it with the des, we know that whatever is before it, it helps us to understand the context of the next part, which is Australian. So Steve-san wa Oosutoraria jin desu. Steve is Australian. Here's Yamashita, and she's Japanese. Yamashita is Japanese. Yamashita-san wa Nihon jin desu. So again we have two pieces of information, Yamashita-san and Nihon jin. But we don't know how they're connected, so it's just Yamashita-san desu and Nihon jin desu at the moment. We replace it with wa, and so now we know the context of Nihon jin, and it's Yamashita-san is Japanese. Now you might have noticed that the wa we've been using this whole time in the lesson is actually the hiragana character for ha. But this is a special little bugger, and it likes to be called wa whenever we use it as a topic marker. So when listening to it, it shouldn't be giving you any grief, because it literally sounds like wa. When it comes to reading and writing, however, it might sound confusing, but trust me, you'll definitely get used to it the more that you study Japanese. Wa, as we now know, is the topic marker, and it belongs to a family of words called particles. Now this may or may not be something new to you depending on what languages you already know. But to put it very simply, particles is like a magical glue. It sticks itself to phrases or words that then indicates to us how it relates to the rest of the sentence. Here we have tomu desu, hon desu, ringo desu, doubutsu desu. They are just nouns by themselves, a book, an apple, an animal, and Tom. So what is Tom? Is he an animal? Is he a book? Is he a student, or could he be a country? So this is where wa comes in to help. It sticks itself to Tom and lets us know that it is the topic in relation to being a student. This is the basics that you will need to understand before moving on. So this is the basic rule. X or Y, Y desu. X is Y. So Steve is Australian, or Yamashita is Japanese. We also use this structure to introduce ourselves to others. I am Y. Watashi wa Y desu. You can also use this with your own name. Watashi wa desu. Now that we know the rule, we know that Tom can mean anything. Tomu-san wa gakusei desu. Tomu-san wa inu desu. Tomu-san wa Tomodachi desu. Here are our final few sentences for the anime and manga fans. Luffy-san wa kaizoku o desu. Luffy is the pirate king. Rukia-san wa shinigami desu. Rukia is a shinigami. Killua-san wa hunter desu. Killua is a hunter. Usagi-chan wa hime desu. Usagi is a princess. Naruto-kun wa Hokage desu. Naruto is a Hokage. I hope you guys found this useful, but if you still find anything confusing, feel free to leave me a message and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. More lessons will be coming soon and I hope to see you again.